this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts with another video. Today I'm trying something new to myself. I'm using these gilding flakes. I bought these in Germany. They were just €1, but you can easily pick them up for the similar prices in other places, obviously also here in the UK. And I saw Christine Stokes use these. She's got finer flakes. These are actually a bit like bigger sheets, and I'm halfway through practicing with this when I thought, no, I better put on the video and show you how to attach these to the cardstock. The idea is, for me, I just wanted to create backgrounds that I can die cut from, or that I can use as backgrounds. And what I've done is I've used the Zig two-way glue. I used the bigger pen on this one, and I just went across the panel just with this, just bits and bobs. And with this one here, I also used the slimmer one, so I've got big streaks of that and smaller streaks of that. And what you need to do when you've applied these, you need to leave them to dry a bit for them to get tacky. With this one I was a bit too impatient. It still had some wet bits here, and then the flakes won't adhere. So what I found with the ones I've bought, they actually unfold and are like sheets. You see there's a bigger one here. So I just lay these down, and you want to make sure that you cover all of your bits that you've put glue down on, and you can press them down a bit, and whatever you haven't used you can peel off and use on a different piece. You don't want these too thick on, because basically you'll be wasting it, because that will get brushed off afterwards. So you can see I've got some excess here. This unfolds into a bigger sheet, and I can use that here, and I just press it down with my finger lightly, and I'm going to make sure that I've got the whole panel covered. Well, the bits anyway that have got the glue on them. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So as I said, if you've got something like this, just unfold a little bit. Even when you've pressed it down, you can unfold it then as well. That sometimes makes it even easier. So just tearing bits off as well where I know that it hasn't glued down and where I don't need any of this foil. But because it's cheap, it doesn't matter if you waste a bit more. As I said, other brands have got smaller bits. This, for example, is a big piece. So I just unfold this a bit, and then I can press it down here, even spread it out like this. And whatever I haven't used, I can tear off and put in other places. So I'm going to pause this here, and I'm going to finish it, and then I'm going to show you how I continue after this. So once you've covered your panel, test with your fingers and see if there are any sticky bits left. And I just noticed there's some on the edge here at the top, so I'll cover that as well, although I will cut the panel down. You can actually hear my fingers sticking to some bits still there. Bit exposed there, so just take bits off the edges there where you don't need it. So once you've done that, just press it all down with your fingers and start rubbing this into the glue. And this will actually buff it up and make sure it adheres properly. There's still a bit stick here, so again I'm just taking some leftovers. So press it down firmly. And once this is all stuck down, I've just taken some sort of packaging. The idea was, I saw Christine Stokes, she's got a little sponge thing that seems to be rough, but I just folded this up, and I'm just using this, and this will take the excess off. It's probably not the best tool, but it does work. If I can, I'd like to use some tools or materials that I already have, rather than buying a gadget for every little job. So I've glued this down actually here on my bottom, so I need to just take this up, tap it a bit, and yeah, there you go. A few bits here left where I can actually buff it up a bit because it sort of seems to have a double layer. But apart from this, that worked perfectly, and I'm going to show you later what I'm going to do with these. Okay, I'm back with a finished card. I started recording this earlier and then my phone died on me because I hadn't watched the battery status. So this is what I did. I cut out elements from my panels with these foliage dies. My idea was to create a wreath, but only some of them are rounded, some are rather straight. So I decided to go into this landscape shape, and this is a 5x7, and I cut a matting panel in the dark blue again to tie this in, and I arranged these around this piece die cut. I cut the stems of some of them. You can still see the leftovers here of some of them, so the ones that were really long, because I wanted them to overlap a bit and I didn't want any stems to stick out at the edges. In hindsight, I don't know if you can see this, I doubled this up. I went in here and I thought that was nice, and then I wanted to cover basically the stems there, and I doubled this up here. In hindsight, I would have had the other one on the opposite side to level this out a bit. And there's still a bit of a empty piece there. I'm not quite sure yet whether I want to add any other embellishments like some Nouveau drops or some beads that would sort of balance this out. But I really like the gold flakes on the blue cardstock. I found actually this piece is a very similar colour to the gold flakes. If you don't have anything in a similar colour, you can also use the gold flakes obviously to cover a whole panel, and then a die cut from that. By the way, to glue this down, I used my Zig glue again. This one's very easy. I just dot it on the back of all the leaves. Make sure you go to the outside. Leave it for a few seconds to get tacky and dry a bit. This one actually turns from blue into white glue, and then you know it's ready to use. And then you just stick it down and press it down. So I'm quite pleased with this. As I said, the balance isn't quite right on the card, but it's still nice enough, and the shimmer on the gold flakes is really, really lovely. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, and I'm back. I was about to upload the video for this card here, and I told you I wasn't very happy with this sort of bulk on the top here, and it was really empty down here. And I was just about to edit the thumbnail and I thought, no, I'll have to come back to this. I'm not really happy about this. So I decided to add a little poinsettia here at the bottom. I cut the leaves from the same cardstock that I used for the piece die, and I've cut the poinsettia, which is a 3-part poinsettia that you sort of offset. I cut this from the same cardstock as these blue leaves are. So all I did was I put a glue dot in the middle here and put this together. But before I did that, I actually bend the leaves or curve the leaves a bit. I just want to show you what I did. These are very delicate, and this one actually ripped. So let me just move this out of the way so I can show you on the wide. So what I did is you have to hold it in the middle really tight, and then you just use, like, you can use a pen, but with this one I have this toothpick thing or whatever it is, and you just curve these a bit to give them a bit of dimension, and when you push them down in the middle, these will actually stand up, and it just looks so much nicer. And what I have then done to keep that dimension is I have put foam squares, really tiny foam squares, on the back. So all that's left to do now is, as I said, I've filled this in where there was a bit of a gap compared to the corners here, filled this in with the 2 leaves, and now that all that's left to do is put a bit of glue in the middle here. I've already taken the back off, it's a bit sticky. So I'm using my collal glue because I know that will really adhere well. And all I need to do now is to stick this down so it will then balance the whole card out a bit, the whole corners there. And I need to press this down a bit Just use another pokey tool, and then I can press these leaves down onto the foam squares, and they just will have some lovely dimension. And once this is dry, I will put a dot of my Dovecraft, what's it called, the drops, well, sort of Nouveau drops, pearl drops I think they're called, with Dovecraft. I would just put one in the middle just to sort of tie the blue in a bit more, but I'll leave that to dry first and I'll push it down a bit. So in my thumbnail you will then see the finished card, but I think this looks so much nicer. It looks more intentional as well, and it sort of gives it a bit more of a base, otherwise it was too heavy on the top. So I hope you like the finished version, and I'm definitely was sure coming back. And again, it proved to me again, no card is lost. You can always go back to it and make some slight changes, and then it looks so much more balanced. See you again soon.